Okay, buttoning. Okay, guys, so I just literally got done filming the Red Hood and Outlaws review. I'm now gonna do what I was going to do originally today, which is Tony Stark issue 2. Tony Stark Iron Man issue 2, sorry, my bad. Now, this was a good issue and I liked it overall, but there was one comment passed that I wasn't a fan of. Also, can I just say this is nice and clean, I like this. Writer, artist, colorist, letterist, all nice and clean here in the text box. Why can't all comics do that? It's nice and easy. Self-Made Man Part 2, not a pilot episode. Okay, I don't get what that's about. And we're instantly treated to Rhodey waking up after being haunted by some pretty horrific memories of being War Machine. And then we see the procedure of everybody waking up and doing their morning thing, which, fair enough. Then we have Rhodey and Tony Stark doing this rather stupid thing where they're doing this climbing wall thing, and Stark ends up falling and Rhodey catches him, and Rhodey's like, yeah, you always got an excuse, Tony, but maybe next time I won't be there to... And then Stark's like, to what? Literally catch me when I fall? You're James Rhodey. That's who you are. It's what you do. You know? And, like, you know, to me, that's always been what Rhodey is about. When Stark fucks up, Rhodey catches him and dusts him down. Like, that's, you know... That's always what him and Rhodey were, like, you know, they were the two bros, you know, and when I read the first one, I'm like, where is Rhodey? Where's War Machine? Where's Rhodey? We have a new Iron Man #1 and no Rhodey. Guess what? He's here. The Eagle has landed. Rhodey is here. And he's straight back into his old job. Then we have a bit where Tony's like, look, you know, I need an assistant AI in my suit. I don't have one anymore because I got rid of Friday. She's now like a machine, separate of the Iron Man suit. And basically one of the machines is saying, oh, you know, you had me in that suit once, it's not nice, I don't think we should literally put a machine inside the suit, I think we should do it differently. And then she says, I don't like that at all, you humans have no idea what it's like to be trapped inside there like that. And Rhodey stood behind her with his head hung and is like, yeah, sounds terrible. Rhodey is terrified of those Iron Man suits simply because of experiences he's gone through, because he's been trapped in them. Even in the animated Iron Man series, Rhodey nearly drowned in one of those things, and he's always called them coffins ever since. He doesn't like wearing them. He feels trapped, he feels claustrophobic, he feels vulnerable in his War Machine armor. And here's this machine blarting about how humans don't understand what it feels like to be trapped in one of them. Rhodey has literally nearly died on multiple occasions because his armor's locked up and he's been trapped. And it terrifies both him and Tony, stuff like that, because it hits it home how much of a vulnerability the suits can be. Because they're massive pieces of iron. If those things shut down or you end up in water, you're vulnerable. Like, because as what happened with Rhodey in the cartoon, he got knocked in the water and the armor sank like a brick with him trapped inside. And because of the pressure, he couldn't remove the armor. He was just stuck as water poured in through the mask. And, you know, if it wasn't for Tony swimming in the underwater armor and grabbing him, he would have drowned. You know, he described it afterwards as literally like drowning in your own coffin. It's not a nice experience, and like, honestly, I don't know if it's part of this character's development to be so unempathetic, or if it's just... Because I think this character has a lot of insecurities. This is something that happens later on, but her story is the less interesting one. You know, I'm quite willing to skip over that. Because basically they find out there's Stark tech inside one of these machines that's been stolen, and it's going to be sold to the highest bidder as this do-it-all military device that will kill lots of people. So basically Tony's like, but this time, Rhodey, I'm gonna take your advice and I'm gonna ask for someone to help me. And Rhodey's like, you calling in the Avengers? And Tony's like, one of them. And Rhodey's like, which? Oh. And he's like, took you long enough to realise, War Machine, come on, let's go, suit up, buddy. And Rhodey's like, he hangs his head and he's like, great, now he's listening to me. Like, you know, and then we get introduced to this really sassy weapons arms dealer. And basically we get introduced to this massive death machine. And they start placing bids on it. Iron Man and War Machine interrupt proceedings, and they start fighting. Tony gets taken by the guards. War Machine is tasked with taking out the big machine. And basically, you kind of have this really cool moment between the two of them where it gets interrupted for stuff to do with the silver robot, but I'm not really that bothered about that, to be honest. It's like you have two stories going at once. It's not that unusual. And you have this really great moment where Rhodey ejects out of his armor because he starts having a panic attack, and he's like, he's there on the ground, defenseless against this thing, and Tony suddenly realizes, oh shit, I was selfish. I've been that wrapped up in myself, I didn't realize what was going on with Rhodey. And like, Tony has this really human moment where he realizes how bad he fucked up, and it's like, and then he gets the AI to hack the machine and eject the pilot, and then Rhodey jumps in the machine and he like stops it from crushing all these people trying to buy this machine. And then afterwards, Tony and him clean up and deal with the guy that Tony was fighting, because apparently it has non-lethal weapons as well. It's got lethal, non-lethal, anti-air, tank. It does it all. It's the ultimate Swiss Army military vehicle. Props for creativity. I'll give them that. Props for creativity with the evil bad guy machine. And then basically Tony walks up to this arm dealer and it is like, hey, you've got one of a kind model. My friend really likes it, and you can run or you can't reproduce it without Stark tech. So let's make a deal. You know, he's like, let's make a deal. You know, we can do this. I'm a businessman. Let's make a deal. And she's like, you broke into private property, and it's like, you stole my tech. And then she's like, that we built into something you want. And he's like, which is why I'll make a very generous offer. And then she's kind of like, she's being a bit naughty. She's like, yeah, over dinner, wearing something nice. And Tony's like, well. So basically, then we get the end of the robot thing. Basically, from what I can tell, I think she has a few skeletons in her closet. So does... I think basically all the side characters in this book have skeletons in their closets. And I actually really like that, because it makes it feel somewhat... You know, nobody's perfect. You know, everyone's got problems. And it's like... Even Tony reveals to Rhodey in a very private conversation afterwards that, you know, you know how our bodies got rebuilt. You've checked yourself head to toe, you're fine. And I don't feel like I've come back right. I feel like there's something wrong. You know, and Tony basically confines this in Rhodey. He's like, him and Rhodey, he basically says to Rhodey, look, you know, you've always been there for me. I've always confided everything in you. And look, there's this one thing I haven't told anybody. And it's like, you know how we, you know how when we got brought back, you know, it was like, yeah. And also, Rhodey confides in him is a bit like, you know, I can't deal with those coffins no more, and I'm sorry, I should have told you before we went out there, but, you know, this machine's better for me. It's more like a cockpit. I can breathe, I have space, I can deal with this. So basically, it looks like Rhodey is going to be using this Manticore in future, instead of the War Machine armor, which kind of sucks, because I liked Rhodey's War Machine, but, you know, it's genuine character progression. Because Rhodey getting to the point where he realizes, you know, I can't keep doing this, is actually a genuine human reaction. I mean, I've always said to my friends, they ask you, Josh, if you could have anything from Marvel, what would it be? And I always say the War Machine or Iron Man armor. Because I like the idea of having a suit like that. Because it's like you can fly, you can fight, you can have increased resilience to gunfire and ballistic weaponry. It's basically, it's a pretty cool suit. Also, it comes with an AI, and, you know, there's multitudes of colours and whatnot. It has alternate modes. It's ultimately like just the ultimate combat suit, and it's like, you know, I dig that, like the ability to go flying around and stuff in the suit, and like, just stuff like that, like the ability to fly to places, and, you know, the enhanced strength the suit gives you and stuff. I've always thought, you know, if I was a Marvel character, I'd always want to be one of the Iron Man type characters, like, you know, I'd want to be involved with that. And ultimately, seeing Rhodey renounce this suit because it's like, I can't deal with this no more, is understandable, because honestly, some of the ways that you could die in one of those things is horrible. Like, they're not perfect. They may be brilliant for flying, brilliant for combat, but the way they're designed, if you end up in water, it's not good. And like, I'll even play the recording from the TV, the bit from the TV show, later on, and it's like, because, you know, I actually really do. I think it sums up Rhodey and why he's done this, and I can actually understand, and I'm totally fine with it, because it's like, you know, it's natural character progression. And also, he's not going to be doing nothing, because he has the Manticore, so if Tony needs War Machine, he can be like, yo, Rhodey, jump in the Manticore. Like, you know, we're going to take this as a team, you know. Which is good. It's like, you know, I'm cool with that. And I like the fact they're still using Rhodey. Because they do all this stuff about talking about diversity and that, whereas, like, you've got Rhodey, who, for me, I've always preferred more than Tony. Because I just like Rhodey as a cool character. And also, his suit is dope. Like, you've got Gatling guns and just... Rhodey's suit is just so cool. Like, and also the colour scheme, the black and the red. Honestly, I'd take Rhodey's suit over Tony's, to be honest. Like, because it's just, yeah, it's War Machine, man. Come on. But yeah, I've always liked Rhodey. Rhodey's always been one of those characters I've really been fond of and like really enjoyed reading. I mean, the Marvel Mightiest Hero books actually came with a War Machine book, and I've actually started reading through that. It's really enjoyable, and I'm glad to see them utilizing the character, and I'm glad to see some character growth. Because normally, well, hopefully, maybe later on in the series he'll get over it, and we'll have him back in the War Machine suit, or maybe a situation will arise where somebody else takes up the War Machine suit. I pray to God not really. But, you know, hopefully we'll get somebody take up the War Machine suit, or Rhodey will take it back up. This, like, Iron Man and War Machine, man, it's an awesome combo. Like, But I actually really enjoyed. This was a good story, and it explored Rhodey and Tony's relationship as friends, and also partners in terms of like the superhero side of thing. And it was actually a really good exploration of that, and also it showed that the other characters had flaws, they had things they deal with, and that was probably the less interesting side of it. But Rhodey and I think they've got a good idea what they're doing with Rhodey here, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm not massively sold on this series yet, so I'm waiting, keeping an eye on at the moment anyway. But I'll see you guys in the next video, probably going to be Old Man Hawkeye, so I hope you enjoyed your day everyone, and I'll see you soon.